guys, welcome back to Yaya Simple Living. Welcome back to my kitchen. My name's Kelly. And welcome to a little episode I like to call Chaos in the Kitchen. Dun dun dun. So today we are going to be making some sourdough English muffins and some sourdough bread. I know that I've already made a video on making sourdough bread, but I'm doing them both at the same time, so I figured I'd just throw them both in there. And I can link, I can link the video of the sourdough bread either up here at the end of the video or in the description. So, are they going to turn out right? Is there going to be chaos? Chaos in the kitchen, where not everything turns out as we anticipate. So, won't you join me on this adventure and let's see if we have chaos in the kitchen or magic in the kitchen. Stay tuned. So to prove that I was not kidding about the chaos in the kitchen, my microphone decided not to work for this first clip. So I'm going to have to do a voiceover, and I apologize. We are going to make the starter for the English muffin and the sourdough bread. We're going to do this in the morning when we get up, and then we're going to let it sit for 12 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the bread, and I'm going to add for the bread, I'm going to take 10 grams of my active sourdough starter, which is equivalent to about 2 teaspoons. And then to that, I am going to add 25 grams of room temperature water, so not cool, not hot, and 25 grams is equivalent to 5 teaspoons of water. And then I like to mix those up before I add my flour, just to make sure that there's no clumps of the starter in there. And then once I get those incorporated together, I will go ahead and I will add my flour, and I'm using all-purpose flour from Wheat Montana, which does have a higher protein content, so it aids to gluten structure for the bread. And I'm going to add 25 grams of flour, which is equivalent to 3 tablespoons. I'm going to mix all of those up, make sure that there's no clumps of flour, and I'm going to put it into a clean jar with a lid lightly on it. And I'm going to put that in my oven with the light on, and it's going to stay in there all day. I'm not going to turn the oven on, but it's going to stay for about 12 hours. And then after 12 hours, we will make our dough, and we will let it bulk ferment overnight. So I'm going to also label the jars, since I'm making both English muffins and sourdough bread. I'm going to label the jars so that I know which is which. So the first one I'm going to label bread, and then put that in the oven, and then we will get started on our English muffin dough. So by the time we're done, we should have a 1/4 cup of the starter for the bread. So now to do the starter for the English muffins, I'm going to zero out my scale, and I'm going to take 15 grams of my active starter, which is equivalent to about a tablespoon. I'm going to put that in the bowl, and to that I'm going to add 50 grams of water. And again, room temperature, not too cool, not too hot, just room temperature. And 50 grams of water is equivalent to about 3.5 tablespoons. I'm going to mix those together and make sure that there are no clumps of the starter. And then once I get that mixed together and both of those incorporated, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 50 grams of all-purpose flour, which is equivalent to 1/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon. I'll get those mixed up, get that put into a jar, labeled with EM for English muffin. And we will get that in the oven, and that also will sit in my oven with the light on for 12 hours. And then after the 12 hours, we will come back and we will make the dough for both the bread and the English muffin, and they will both bulk ferment overnight. So I did get these recipes from Little Spoon Farm, and I will link them in the description box. She has a lot of really great sourdough recipes if you're interested in sourdough recipes. And I use a lot of her recipes, and I haven't had any failings on any of them. So let me get my English muffin dough mixed up, or English muffin starter mixed up, and then we'll go on from there. Okay guys, so we are back with our English muffins and our bread that we started this morning. So here is our English muffin starter. Look how bubbly that is. It is just gorgeous. All right, so I have my scale out, and I'm going to add 100 grams of the starter to my bowl. And I'm going to do this in the stand mixer just because it's easier. So if you don't have a scale, you can do a half a cup of your starter is what you're going to need. So 100 grams or a half a cup of the starter. I just like to weigh everything just because I think it gives it more exact. And when we made this starter this morning, it did account for a little bit of extra that clings to the side. So, even though it says 100 grams, I like to put a little extra in, and it's just going to make them a little bit more sour. But, all right. Okay, so there's our starter. And then to that, we are going to add, whoops. Wipe off my hand here, my finger. Okay, so to that we are going to add a tablespoon or 20 grams of either honey, sugar, or maple syrup. I'm going to do honey. And it's 20 grams or 1 tablespoon. Okay. All right. Wipe the honey off. Nothing I hate worse than sticky fingers. Ugh. All right, and then the next thing we're going to add is we're going to add 240 grams of milk, which is also equivalent to a cup of milk. And mine is a little less, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to make up the 240 grams. Okay. Then we're going to add a teaspoon or 5 grams of sea salt. Okay. And 360 grams or 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, now, you can mix this by hand. I am actually, because I'm doing both the sourdough bread, and the English muffins, I'm going to mix the English muffins using my KitchenAid. Let me make sure I have, and I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes on the lowest speed. And that'll mix it all up. Then, hopefully you'll be able to hear me. While that is going, I'm going to get started on mixing the sourdough bread. So, well, I'm going to wait until this is done, and then I'll be back and we'll mix the sourdough bread. Okay, so I've got my dough for my English muffins all incorporated, and I am going to use a bowl scraper to get it out of my bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and save this bowl because I'm going to go ahead and do my sourdough bread in the same bowl. So let me flour my hands a little bit. All right, and I'm just going to knead this just so that it's smooth, just till it's smooth. I'm going to knead, and this is the English muffin dough. So I just want to get a nice smooth dough. And then we're going to put this in a bowl, and we're going to let this do a long ferment overnight. I'm going to put it in my oven with just the oven light on because I do keep my house kind of cold. Okay. So we're going to form it into a nice tight ball. And I'm going to go ahead. Here's our nice dough ball. This is our English muffins. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it in this bowl and let it ferment overnight. And I will cover it. Okay. In fact, I think no, I'm not going to start it. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to start on our sourdough bread dough. So let me get my kitchen scale back out. Ouch. Get my kitchen scale back out. All right. So okay. So for our bread, let me grab the starter that we started this morning for our bread. we are going to add 50 grams or a 1/4 cup of the starter, which should be just about what's in here. Because remember, we put our extra starter back in the refrigerator this morning after we got these two out. Okay. And then to that, we are going to add 350 grams of water, or 1 1/3 cup plus 2 tablespoons. Okay. All right, and then we are going to add 2 teaspoons of sea salt, or 10 grams. And we're going to add 4 cups plus 2 tablespoons of bread flour, or 500 grams. And I am just using all-purpose flour, but it's all-purpose flour from Wheat, Montana. It has a higher protein in it. So for me, it works just like bread flour. And I'm actually almost out. Okay. Now we're going to put this on our mixer, and we are going to mix this up. So while that's mixing, I'm going to clean up a little bit, and I will be back. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. We have our sourdough pretty well mixed up. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to knead it a little bit. And then I'm going to put it in the bowl that I'm going to proof it in overnight for about 30 minutes to an hour. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some stretch and folds. And you will see how different it looks after that hour. See how sticky it is right now? Well, we are going to, let's see, here's my bowl. Let me get my bowl out here for you all to see. All right, so I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to cover it. Let me get some of this dough in there. I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to come back in an hour and do stretch and folds. So, as soon as we're ready to do that, I will be back, and hopefully by then I will have most of this mess cleaned up. And I have to check and see if we're going to do a stretch and fold on the English muffins. I don't think we are, but I'm going to check. So, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, my friends, this is our English muffin dough. I'm going to try and salvage this plastic wrap so I can cover it up all night. So I need to knead this, and I don't want to mess up my counter again, so I am going to knead it in the bowl. And I just want it to be smooth. Oh, let me wet my hands. Look at how much gluten structure it has, though. Just in those 30 minutes. You know what? I am going to do it. I am going to mess up my counter again. Alright, but I do not think that I need to... Oh, I guess I do. I guess I do need to flour it a little. probably floured it too much. Oh my goodness, these sleeves. All right, so we're just gonna knead this. And again, this is the English muffin dough. So we are gonna knead it until it's a smooth, round ball. We want it to be a nice, soft dough. And the key about English muffins, if you want all those nooks and crannies, is you have to split them with a fork. You don't want to cut them in half. You want to split them with a fork. All right, so let's see if we can get this into a nice smooth ball. And put it in our bowl. And then this is going to rest overnight. It's going to do a long ferment in our bowl overnight. We're going to cover it. Okay. Look at how nice and soft that is. It's not sticky. All right, so let me cover this up. And I'm just going to put it in, because I keep my house pretty cold. So I'm going to put this in my oven with the light on. No heat or anything, just the light on. Okay, and let me get our other dough. So this is our sourdough bread dough. So here we have our sourdough bread dough, and we're just going to do what's called a stretch and fold. So we wet our hands and we just stretch the dough, and then we fold it underneath itself. And you can do this, I like to do it quite a few times. If I start sticking, I just get more water on my hand. Because the more you do it, the better your structure of your bread is going to be. So when it starts like this, where it just doesn't want to, I'll go ahead and make it into a nice cohesive ball. And I'm going to let this sit for another 30 minutes. And then we're going to do one more stretch and fold after the 30 minutes is up. And then this also will go into the oven with just the light on for our bulk ferment overnight. And then I will get up super early in the morning before work and finish these up. Okay, so I'll be back in 30 minutes to show you the last stretch and fold on this. Okay guys, we are back. This is going to be our final stretch and fold for the evening on our bread. So let me get my hands wet. And look at how much more stretchy this is than when we first started. So you can really see that that gluten structure is really starting to form. And this is going to really, these stretch and folds are really going to help with our final rise on our bread. All right, so there we are, and this is going to be covered up and put back into our oven with the light on overnight to do a bulk ferment, and then I will be back tomorrow and we will finish up both of our English muffins and our bread. So on that note, good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Well, good morning. All right, we are back, and we're going to work on our English muffin dough. So, you can see that it has raised overnight. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it out onto a floured work surface. And I'm going to press it out till it's 1 inch thick. And I'm going to press it out using my hands. You can use a rolling pin, however, you risk knocking all the air out of it. So I'm just going to use my hands and go ahead and flatten it out. And I am going to continually turn it over because I do not want it to stick. Oops. Okay, once we have that out so that it is about an inch thick, I like this side better. I'm going to get my biscuit cutter and I'm going to start cutting out the English muffins. Okay, so you want to use a 3-inch biscuit cutter. So I'm going to make sure I have the right one. So this is 1, 2, well, this is 2.5, but my one that's 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to use my biscuit cutter. Let me go ahead and put some flour down. Okay, and I'm going to just start cutting these out. I'm going to try and save as much of the dough as I can. Or use as much of the dough as I can, I should say. Alright, so let me do this. Some of these do not want to cut. You know what? I'm going to get a different biscuit cutter. Hold on. Okay, we're going to try this biscuit cutter now. All right, so what I want to do, which I forgot, is I want to take some cornmeal and I'm going to take a parchment lined cookie sheet and I'm just going to sprinkle the cornmeal on there. This is going to keep the English muffins from sticking. And it's also going to give them that nice kind of little crunch on the outside. Okay. So once I do that, I'm going to take my English muffins and I'm going to put them on the tray. And it sounds like a herd of elephants upstairs because it is morning time and my kittens have the zoomies, as usual. I don't know why this isn't cutting. I'm using the right end.
Chaos in the kitchen.
Real life, folks. Real life. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way. All right. So, we have our English muffins here. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to sprinkle the tops with some cornmeal. And then I am going to cover them. And I'm going to let them rise for an hour. Okay guys, next up we have our sourdough bread. So we are going to get this out of the bowl. Okay. And let me put a little bit of flour on my hands just because I don't want it to stick. All right, and then it's very sticky. We're going to make it into a nice ball. Actually, I shouldn't have done it on here. I should have done it. Okay, well, I did. Ah, sticky. All right. we're just going to make it into a tight ball. Yep. Okay. I don't want it sticking on there. I usually do it just on the countertop, but I didn't for some reason. Okay. So we just want it into a tight ball like that to shape our loaf. It is a very, very soft dough. We're going to take our banneton. You can use just a glass bowl with a tea towel in it. And we're going to put that upside down. We're going to sprinkle a little bit of rice flour. You can use regular flour. I just usually use rice flour. All right. We're going to cover this. And for this I just use a shower cap. So we're going to take this, we're going to cover this, and we're going to let this rise for an hour. And then we'll be back. Okay, guys. So we are going to cook our English muffins now. So what I have here is I have 2 cast iron skillets, and I've got them on low heat. And I'm going to take my English muffins and try not to knock the air out of them. And I'm going to put them into my skillet. And I'm going to cook each side for 4 minutes. I do want to cover them up, so let me see if I can find my covers. Alright, so I'm going to use that one and cover that up. And this is the next biggest one I have. Alright, so I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes. Alright, so we have about 20 seconds left before we are going to turn our muffins over. So we're going to start with this pan first. That's the other day. So the reason we want to cover this up is because it does trap the steam inside and it helps with the rise, but it also helps them cook inside. And again, we have our skillet on low. So we don't want to cook these too high because we do not want them to burn. So we're going to go ahead and put that back on. Let's take this one off. And we're going to start it again for another 4 minutes. All right, put that lid back on, and we'll be back in another 4 minutes. All right, a couple seconds left of our second 4 minutes, and we will see how these are doing. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, ooh, that one got a little bit done. Sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move them to the center because I want to make sure that they get evenly browned. These ones actually look pretty good. All right, so these ones are good. I'm going to go ahead and move these out and put them on a cooling rack. There you go, guys. Look at that. Aren't they gorgeous? So we're going to let them cool, and then I will go ahead and split one open with a fork and toast it so you guys can see it. All right? We're going to get our sourdough ready now. Okay, guys, I'm back. Here is our sourdough. I did put it in the refrigerator to ferment for a little bit while the oven was heating up. And let me get a little bit of this flour off. All right, let's score this, shall we? So when you score it, it basically gives the loaf someplace to rise when it's in the oven. So that it doesn't, hopefully it doesn't split. And one last. I am not the best scorer, but hey, I try, right? And that's all that matters. Okay, so let me first of all put this razor blade away so I don't cut myself. Okay, let me get my Dutch oven out. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and put this into our Dutch oven. Okay, and we've got it in our Dutch oven. We're going to put the lid on. We're going to put it in the oven with the lid on for 20 minutes. That traps the steam in there and helps with the oven spring. And I will show you the finished product when we're done. Okay guys, so here you have it. Here's our beautiful loaf of sourdough bread and our English muffins. So we are set for bread for the week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope you'll consider giving it a thumbs up in YouTube, which is a like. And if you haven't already and want to, please subscribe to my channel. Please share it with your friends. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a video, go ahead and hit that bell notification and you'll get notified every time I upload a video. So I will see you guys next time. We've got a lot of exciting videos coming up, so I hope that you will subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. And thanks for watching. Bye.